Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of our tutorial for our car. So my next intention was to take this car and run it through Substance Painter, and I did just that, and I just want to show you what I've done, and maybe that will be useful. So one thing I did was from our last video, part 2, is I actually went into our textures, and I actually realized that from our last session, our last video, training video, these two were overlapping. The wheels and the back wheel and the caps. So this was important to separate for Substance Painter. So I just wanted to show you. I selected them by just doing this, and then in here I pressed W and I just kind of moved them up out of the way. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that the back wheels of the car need to be away from the caps, right? So all of this geometry here are our caps. You don't want to overlap them, because then in Substance, when you're painting this metal or any color, then this would obviously be colored as well because they were overlapping. All right, so just make that little change. And then what I've done after that is I just selected my car and I exported out, right? So when I exported out, I tried FBX and it kept bringing in geometry with some really strange smoothing. And even when I unchecked the smoothing, I was still getting issues. So to make sure that everybody gets good results, do this. Select the entire car, go to Mesh Display, and click on Soften and Hard Edges. And mine are set to 30 degrees. Then you just say Apply. And what that does, when you turn off your wireframe, you will see that the side of the car is completely flat. And then the inside the wheels is also nice and smooth, right? You can see the back of the muffler here is smooth. And then certain pieces are very sharp. So like these edges are sharp. So that setting helped us kind of make sure that everyone who is following this tutorial kind of has the same result. Then to make sure that it exports just like we see here in Maya, I actually had to choose OBJ. And the OBJ file gave me the export, and that looked the best in Substance. So let's go ahead and jump in there and take a look. All right, so here's what my car looks like. I spent a little time just kind of deciding on the colors and how I wanted to look, and I wanted to show you the final result. So let me just give you a breakdown and show you exactly what I did to achieve this, okay? So once you import your model, I'm not going to redo this, but I just want to show you how I brought it in. When I brought in my model, I set it to textures 2K. I did OpenGL because Unity likes OpenGL better. And then I just simply selected my car, which was the FBX. And once you import it, you should have something. Let me turn off all my layers. So I don't want to delete all this work and start over. I just want to kind of walk through it and just show you how it needs to look. So when you bring it in, it's going to look something like this. And then you want to go to Bake. And I set my baking to 2K. And I said use low polymesh as high polymesh. And then I just simply press Bake. Once you do that, you should have something that looks the same as my screen. It was a very clean bake, and it's nice. You can see some ambient occlusion, and you could see some angles are very sharp and some are very smooth. The side is very smooth of the car, and that's what I wanted. So once I did that, the first layer that I added was this paint layer, and there's no magic to it. I just simply set my roughness about 0.3, and my metallic is at about 0.17, just to give me kind of a cartoony but metallic feel. So I'm not even using materials or any kind of fancy stuff. All this is just a paint bucket. That's what this is as the base. Then I did the same thing with the tires. For the tires, I actually chose black paint right here. Add a fill layer, black paint, and you could see nothing exciting here. And the roughness I set to 0.75 to make sure that the rubber is not as shiny, right? Because you don't want to have something like this as your tires. So 0.75 seems to be kind of nice. And then I right click and I added a black mask. And once you add the black mask, then you can use this polygon fill to simply select your tires. And because we did such a nice job unwrapping this, it will select your tires, and then you can select your back tire all at once. So then you have your rubber tires. All right, then after that, I added kind of a bluish grayish paint for my bumper. Same thing, I just created a black mask, and then I simply used the polygon fill to select my element of the two bumpers. And it also selected the light, but that's fine. And the spoiler as well. I decided to give the spoiler the same bluish, kind of a grayish look. And then I just kept doing this piece by piece. Next, I did the windows. The windows are kind of a grayish blue, and you can see I made the roughness at 0.07, 0.08, so it has some reflection in the windows. And metallic I turned all the way down. That's it for windows. Then I did some window highlights. The window highlights, I just simply grabbed my paintbrush and created this here, new paint layer, and just simply drew on the window. So let me show you how I did that. So right here I created a new layer, then I went down to my color and I only selected the color. Then you click on the paint, you can select your window, so it's roughly the color you want. Then you can make it much brighter. That's what I did. And then I just simply kind of painted not a mask, but almost like a color of what the middle is. So it's brighter and it's kind of similar color, but not really. So you can do a nicer job. You can also, of course, turn this on so it's symmetrical. That's what I did with my windows. And once it looks something like this, then you just go to your filters and do a blur. So you can blur this up so it actually kind of spreads out like this. And then you can see I set my alpha to like, much. It actually looks even better with the double. I kind of like that. The windows look really interesting. And then I believe I chose screen instead of normal. And that's how I did the highlights here, okay? So I'm going to delete that. And after the windows, I moved to window frames. This is going to be just, again, boring black with a black mask, and then just simply select the frame borders around the car. All right, then for the lights, backlights, same, just filled it in, boring. Then I did the little effect like we just did with the windows, painted over it and blurred it. So it looks a little more interesting, like there's something going on there. Same thing for the front lights. I just chose a darker yellow and then added the highlights in the middle. Just a line using this here. Then the orange was just paint the orange in on my caps. And for the lines, I just drew the lines over the car using my brush right here. If you press once and hold your shift key, you can, let me reverse this. So you click once and you hold down the shift key, then you click over here to draw the line all the way through. And then to hide anything you don't want, you just go back to here. You set this to black, and you just simply choose the parts that, hey, I don't want it here, I don't want it here, and just kind of delete it. So that's how I did these two lines here. And then if you wanted to do any other cleanup, keep in mind you can also grab the eraser and just come across, make it sharper. But I didn't have to do that here because I just drew it all the way across and then just removed it from this area. So that's how that was done. So I'm gonna undo all of that. All right, so nice and simple, nothing fancy. For the edges, I added a little edges here. You can see right there. And that was done by just going to adding a filler and then right clicking, saying generate, and picking metal edge. So you could see it right there. So then obviously metal edge where it would also only have the color. Just so we don't really want the height. We just want that kind of a wear down effect. And you could see I set that to 7, just because I wanted it just a little bit. You can control the intensity of how you like it. So that's how I added the edges. So I'm going to delete my other edge. Let's turn the original back on. Next, I did the tire side detail. Now this was I was just playing around, but this is just a stamp, right? So I just simply chose a, you can see like a white color, and I just simply stamped it on the side. So I could show you how I did that. So I created, something like this. Then I just added a black mask. And then in my alphas, I just grabbed an interesting shape. I think it was this one. And made, if you hold down the control key, you can grow your control and right mouse button. You can control the size of your brush. And then I just kind of stamped it on. And let's see. So something like that, right? And then I just simply oh yeah, here. So then I just simply took my alpha and just kind of brought it down. So that's what that is. It's just kind of a silly side decoration, but it makes the wheels kind of interesting. I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool, but maybe there's a better shape that you can use on the side of your tires. And then that's what this is. Then I added just a white paint there, nothing amazing. And again, more stamps on the window, and that's just, your basic stamp. So I just, again, added, there's a couple of ways you can stamp. You can select the paint layer, and you can just choose like this shape. I chose this shape, and you can just go boink, right? And maybe in my case, I was doing it something like that. That's one way of doing it, and that'd probably be the easiest. Or sometimes what I like to do, let me delete this. I like to just, for some reason, create the color, then choose the color. So I like to control the color afterwards. Let's say I want, red. And then I like to apply the mask, and then I can do the stamping, you know, like this. But the cool thing is about this versus the other one is that now I can come here and actually change the color. So that's why I do it this way. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. So let me delete that, and then let's keep moving up. Next, I added the normal detail. Normal detail is a lot of fun. All that is just a paint layer, empty paint layer, and you just come in here and you just say height, and I do normal, and then I usually just jump between 0.6 for my minus, and then 0.6 for 0.6 or 7 for my top. So like the top would be, you know, let's change this back to our hard brush. Let's say I want a line here, right? So I just go, you seek out, it's extruding, that's why I call the top, but it's actually does that. And then it's a lot of fun if you have alpha. So if you grab an alpha that looks kind of cool, and you can download these off the internet, there's thousands, right? So, or you can make them in Photoshop. Let's say I grab this ring and I want to go boink, boink. So this is a lot of fun. You can just add detail all day long. And then if you want to subtract it, you just go minus 0.65 or something. And then you, the reason I don't go all the way is because it seems too harsh. It seems sometimes, I guess it looks fine here, but sometimes it just looks too harsh. So I like to be in this area. So that's how I stamped all this detail on the side. So I'm going to delete that. So all these are just shapes, stamping, and then lines. All right. So then next let's see. Here I added just a little paint detail on top just to make the paint a little more interesting. This looks too clean to me, so I just added a cloud paint, and that is just a normal layer. And I just grabbed my brushes and I chose something like, I think it was a cloud, like dirt here. And, you know, you just, oops, I don't want this. I want the color, and maybe make it black or white, whatever. I chose white in my case, and I just did something like this. And then I obviously did, let's see, a screen or soft light, sorry, soft light. And I just brought this all the way down. You can see you can control the amount. So that's kind of a cool little custom trick, because that looks custom. It doesn't look like, oh, you just grabbed it from a masking. You actually paint this on, so it will be custom to your texture. And then if you want to delete it from certain parts of your model, again, you just create a, you can create a black or a white mask. If you do a white mask, then everything will stay, and then whatever you click will be removed, right? So it's the opposite of the black mask. So that's that. And then I just, at the last moment, just for fun, I added some text. And text is a lot of fun. In Substance, you just create a blank layer. You go to your alphas, and you look for font. And then you just select the font you like, or you can import your own fonts. So let's say I like this one. And I'm going to say, you know, what's up? And let's stamp this on the back window here. So I can turn off my symmetry and just simply stamp it on. Now, when you do that, it does this weird thing, and that's because of our jitters. So you want to make sure all these jitters are off. You don't need them for anything, right? For this. And then if you want it larger, you can make it larger. Sometimes if you type stuff in and it doesn't fit, blah, 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 you could see it doesn't fit in here. What you need to do is you need to change the size in here until it does fit. So maybe like that. There you go. And now if I change the size of the brush, you see I can have all the text in there. So that's a cool trick. So keep that in mind. All right, so that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of walk you through my process and show you. Let's see. Let me go to brush and turn off all that text. All right, so that's pretty much it. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you have fun doing this, and I will see you in next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Hey guys, as a part 4, maybe it would be fun to take our car and actually submit it to the Unity Asset Store and have it listed as one of our products. So because we did this as an educational thing, I will submit it as free asset, and if you want to follow, you can join me in the next video. We'll submit it, and I actually have a store here called UI Studios. That's me, so you can see my store. So I will add it to my store as a free product, just like the robot here. And even if you wanted to, you can join the store and just download the model for free. All right, so let's maybe do that, and maybe some of you will want to join the asset store and submit your assets for sales and make some site cash. All right, so subscribe and stay tuned. I will make that shortly.